This is the Connecticut Masters Games. It's for 40 plus riders, ages 40 and over. I am starting 13th. The starting order is based on age, youngest to oldest. We've had riders that are well into their 70s in this event. I'm riding my road bike in a Lay Sprint with 55mm deep wheels, running 53/39 in front and 12/25 in the rear. I don't have a time trial bike. I don't even have aero bars on this bike. So it's straight road bike. It's the same bike that I ride daily and in crits. Since this was just a 5K time trial, only 3 miles, my goal was to just get into my 5-minute power and try to hold that as long as possible. I knew that the time was going to run over 5 minutes, but I figured, try to maintain my 5-minute power would be a safe bet. And yeah. So in 2019, I set a pretty high bar for myself as far as 5-minute power goes. I hit 379. I haven't been able to hit that since, not for 5 minutes at least. But during the off season when I was training more regularly, at the end of 2020 and beginning of 2021, my 5-minute power was 359. So I'm surprised that my GoPro wasn't shaking here. Maybe that was the image stabilization that's built into the GoPro, but the mount was really loose during this whole time trial. It was shaking all over the place, and that also had my Wahoo mounted to it. Right, so I was genuinely concerned that this was just going to fall off in the middle of this time trial. But fortunately, it did stay on, and afterwards I tightened it up. But I think I'm going to need to add a little bit of Loctite. So this race was supposed to be the first of 3 races that I was going to do today: the 5K time trial, the 10K, and then a 40K crit. The crit was going to be my first 1 through 4 Masters race. It was very windy on this day, and especially in this section here, there was quite a bit of headwind, and after we go around this right-hand turn a little bit, following that left, it goes uphill, and there was a lot of wind there as well, and that became a bit of a challenge, not so much in this race, but in some of the longer events where fatigue starts setting in. So here, it's essentially just a power section. You just, try to leg it out as best as possible. Because my bike and myself were not very aerodynamically optimized, I really had to rely on power to maintain speed. There was also quite a few bumps and cracks in the course. In this left-hand corner, there's a couple of rather large bumps that I've heard that from some of the people on time trial bikes that they had to go onto the horns because it was just too unstable on the TT bars. Luckily, you can pretty much pedal through this entire section without coming off the power. Even in that corner, you can you let off the power just a little bit, but for the most part, you just pedal on straight through. Going into the final lap here, I've done this time trial a few years ago during my first year of racing back in 2018. I was still a Cat 5 then, and my pacing was absolutely terrible. my average power in 2018 was 248. So I took it as a good sign that I didn't get passed by anybody on this time trial, but also I was a bit concerned that I didn't pass anybody on this time trial. So, although we had 30-second intervals between the starts, this was actually quite a lonely event. Didn't really see anybody out there. Back in 2018, before this race, I did buy a set of aero bars, and I attempted to use them on this course a few days before the race to see about getting used to them. And that didn't last very long. I just couldn't get a feel for it, so I took them off and just ran the bike without them. Well, I did the same thing again this year. The Monday before this race, I went on a ride with the aero bars, but again, I just couldn't get a feel for it. It felt very unstable, and it seemed like it was just creating more problems than it was solving. So once again, I ran this bike just as a straight road bike without the aero bars. Ultimately, I gotta say I was very happy with my performance during this race and in the 10K as well. My lap times were very consistent, and I was able to keep the power up. It turns out that I held 355 watts for 7 minutes and 18 seconds. That was about a 20-second improvement from 2018, and well over 100 watt improvement. It was about a 110 watt improvement. It's hard to say whether or not I would have done better with a TT bike. There's a possibility that I might not have been able to produce as much power, and of course, I would need to spend some time getting used to the TT bike, and riding in that position. Thanks for watching. If you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button, and I'm looking forward to seeing you next time. Have a good one.